Now I am taking up the second part of biodiversity and conservation. Loss of biodiversity. Who is responsible for the loss of biodiversity? It is mainly human beings. So we have destroyed a number of ecosystems after we have appeared on this earth. Then, human colonization of Pacific tropic islands have caused the extinction of 2,000 species of native birds. Then, according to the red list prepared by IUCN means International Union for Conservation of Nature and Natural Resources, 784 species have become extinct in the last 500 years. And this list includes 338 vertebrates, 359 invertebrates, and 87 plant species. Some of the important animals lost during these 500 years are dodo bird, a flightless bird found in Mauritius, quagga, native of Africa, thylacine, native of Australia, stellar sea cow, Russia, and 3 tiger subspecies in Bali, Java, and Caspian. So, these animals have become recently extinct because of human exploitation. Then, in the last 20 years itself, 27 species have disappeared. And among them, amphibians are more vulnerable. Then, at present, worldwide, 15,500 species are facing the threat of extinction. And this list includes 12% of all bird species, 23% of all mammalian species, 32% of amphibian species, and 31% of gymnosperms. In this way, 15,500 species are facing the threat of extinction in the near future. Then, even before man has appeared, 5 episodes of mass extinction has taken place on this earth. Man-made extinction is now in the 6th episode, but the present episode of extinction is different from earlier 5 mass extinctions because at present the rate of loss of species is very rapid. It is causing, the present episode is causing loss of species at the rate of 100 to 1,000 times faster than earlier episodes. In this way, very soon we may lose, very soon means within 100 years, we may lose about 50% of all the present species. So within near future, within a century, 50% of all the present species will become extinct. Then, what are the reasons for this mass extinction? There are 4 reasons, and these are known as evil quartet. The first reason is habitat loss and fragmentation. Habitat is the place where the species live or survive. If habitat is lost, the species are also lost forever. For example, the tropical rainforest area, which was 14% of the land mass or land area earlier, is now reduced to only 6%. It means loss of tropical rainforest, which is very rich in species diversity, has disappeared. Then, destruction of the Amazon forest. At a very rapid rate, the Amazon forest area is destroyed, mainly to raise soya beans and grass cultivation, or grass, to raise grass and soya beans. Why the grass and soya beans are important? They are required for raising beef cattle or for meat purpose. So, illegally or legally, a large part of Amazon forest is destroyed at regular times at a large or large areas of Amazon forest is destroyed at a regular rate. Then, pollution also causes degradation of forests. And when the large forest areas are fragmented, then what happens? The migratory routes are affected. Birds and animals migrate from area to area during different seasons. And when their migratory routes are affected, they become extinct. The second cause is overexploitation. Overexploitation is also one of the important causes for extinction of species. As need turns greed, that means when we are greedy, we are killing them. We are killing various types of animals, not for need, but for greed. And it causes extinction of a number of species. In the last 500 years, stellar cow or dugong and passenger pigeon have become extinct. Then, many fish species are extinct or on the verge of extinction because of overexploitation. Nowadays, lot of fish is caught from the oceans, and this results in the depletion of fish resources, and ultimately it may lead to the extinction of fishes. Then, the whales were also once overexploited. As a result, almost all types of whales are threatened species now. They are in very few numbers, and unless they are protected, whales will disappear from the face of the earth. Then the invasion of alien species. When we bring non-native species or exotic species into our areas, what happens? They cause a lot of havoc. The alien species affect the survival of the native species, and sometimes the native species may become even extinct. Then, Nile perch. It is found in the river Nile. It was introduced into Lake Victoria. Lake Victoria is home for about 200 native cyclid fishes. Because of the introduction of the Nile perch, all these native cyclid fishes have become extinct. Then, into our country, 3 types of exotic plants are introduced with a purpose or accidentally. These are Parthenium or carrot grass, Lantana, and Eichhornia. Eichhornia is also known as Bengal terror. These are causing a lot of harm to the ecosystem. These 3 species have become invasive species now. They are found everywhere and causing a lot of harm to our ecosystems. Then, recently, one of the catfish from Africa is introduced into Indian for culture in India. This African catfish is known as Clarius garipincus. This catfish, which is illegally introduced into India for pisciculture, is causing harm to the native catfishes, and very soon the native catfishes may become extinct because of this exotic species. Then, the third reason is co-extinction. Many species are dependent on each other. You take the example of pollination. Some types of plants are dependent only on one type of pollinator. If that pollinator is removed, what happens? The plant species also become extinct. This is called co-extinction. So, if one species is removed or if one species becomes extinct, other species are also likely to get extincted or they become extinct. Then, host-parasitic relationship. Some parasites survive only in a particular type of host. If that host is removed, the parasite is also removed. In this way, these 4 causes result in mass extinction of species. Then, what is the need for conservation of biodiversity? There are 3 strong reasons for conservation of biodiversity. The first one is our selfish motive. This is called narrowly utilitarian argument. We derive many benefits from the forest. These are countless. We receive food. We receive a variety of industrial products and also medicines. We use them all for our own benefit. If you lose the forest, we lose all these things. Then, more than 25% of the current drugs used for our health are derived from plants. Then, native populations use about 25,000 of plant species for their traditional medicine. Then, still there are many medicinal plants that are yet to be discovered. But due to loss of biodiversity, we may lose them forever even before their discovery. In this way, we need conservation of biodiversity for our own benefit. Second one is broadly utilitarian argument. This is for general purpose, for the benefit of all the species. First one, nature offers a number of ecosystem services to man and other species. Then, you take the example of Amazon forest. Amazon forest is known as the lungs of the world. It produces 20% of the atmospheric oxygen. Without oxygen, no aerobic animal can survive. So, the forests provide oxygen for all the living species. Then, one invaluable service is about pollinating organisms. Bees, bumblebees, bats, birds, etc. participate in pollination. And if these are removed, if these pollinators are removed, what happens? Pollination cannot take place and many plant species become extinct, and we also don't get seeds. Then food grains, fruits, etc. Then aesthetic value. It gives pleasure to walk through a forest or through a garden. We can't measure the aesthetic value in amounts of money. Then the sounds produced by birds and also the colors exhibited by the plants gives us lot of pleasure. Third one is ethical argument. We have no right to destroy or to cause the extinction of any animal or plant species. It is nature's gift. We have to conserve all the available plant and animal species and hand over them to the future generations. Then, at present, many animal and plant species survive only at our mercy. In nature, they are unable to survive unless we give a helping hand. So it is our duty now, or our bounden duty, to take care of those or such plants and animals that are unable to survive on their own and preserve them for posterity. Then, every species has its intrinsic value in the ecosystem. That's why no species should be eliminated from the ecosystem. If you do, it causes adverse effect in the ecosystem. Then, how to conserve the biodiversity? There are two methods to conserve biodiversity, and these are known as ex situ conservation and in situ conservation. In situ conservation means conserving the plants in their native habitat. Then, for conservation of plants and animals in native habitat, there are biodiversity hotspots. IUCN has identified a number of 34 biodiversity hotspots. These biodiversity hotspots are species rich and also exhibit endemism. That means species are very rich in these hotspots, and these species are not found elsewhere. They are confined only to that particular hotspot. That's why protection of hotspots is very important. Otherwise, we lose a number of species which are very rare and unique. Out of the 34 biodiversity hotspots in the world, 3 are located in India. They are Western Ghats and Sri Lanka, Indo-Burma region and Himalayas. Then, all the area in the world occupied by the biodiversity hotspots is less than 2%. Then, in India, biodiversity rich, ecologically unique regions are protected through 3 means. These are biosphere reserves, national parks and wildlife sanctuaries. Indian government has established these 3 types of conservation: biosphere reserves, natural parks and wildlife sanctuaries. There are 14 biosphere reserves, 90 national parks and 448 wildlife sanctuaries in our country. Then, some species are also protected in sacred groves. Some religious communities maintain forests and they protect the forest and also the wildlife existing in the forest. These sacred groves are found in Khasi and Jante hills of Meghalaya, Aravalli hills of Rajasthan, Western Ghats of Karnataka and Maharashtra, then Sarguja, Chandra and Bastar in Madhya Pradesh. So sacred groves also help in the conservation of various species in situ. Then ex situ conservation. Ex situ conservation means conservation of the species not in their native space but elsewhere. For this purpose, zoological parks, botanical gardens and wildlife sanctuaries are established. The species that are threatened are protected in these zoological parks, botanical gardens and wildlife sanctuaries. Interestingly, some of the species that have become extinct in nature are still found in the protected zoological parks. Then, sometimes the reproduction of some species may be affected. Then, gametes are collected from those species and they are cryopreserved or preserved at very low temperature for fertilizing and breeding later on. So in this way, through cryopreservation, threatened species can be protected and propagated. Then, plant species are propagated through tissue culture. Then there are seed banks to help in the preservation of genetic diversity of different economically important plants. Then, in the year 1992, Convention of Biodiversity or Earth Summit was held in Johannesburg in South Africa. At that meeting, a call was given for conservation of biodiversity and also sustainable utilization of natural resources. 10 years after that, another convention was held in Johannesburg. Sorry, I made a mistake. The first convention was held in Rio de Janeiro, South America, in the year 1992. And it is also known as Earth Summit. In that convention, conservation of biodiversity and sustainable utilization of natural resources was given. A call was given for that. Then the next summit was held in Johannesburg in South Africa in the year 2002. 190 countries participated and they have given support or they pledged for significant reduction in the loss of biodiversity at a global level, regional level and also at local level. That is about conservation of species. Thank you.